Welcome to RFK Racing. Here behind me is our main race shop, and I'm driver Brad Keselowski. You're about to go on an incredible tour of our state-of-the-art facility. Inside, you're going to find the best equipment and some of the best fabricators, engineers, and mechanics in the whole world. I can't wait to show you our crib. The first thing you'll see when you come through our front doors is our lobby. Now, normally you would say all lobbies are alike, but at RFK Racing, we have a couple really cool things in our lobby. Not just the pictures of our founder, Jack Roush, and some of our race cars, but probably one of my favorite trophies and fire suits from our last few wins. Here you see Chris Buescher's last win at Daytona and the fire suits and trophy. But behind it is where the magic really happens. This is our race shop. Our beginning at RFK Racing is really our ending. Behind us are our teardown bays. This is where the race cars come after a race and get fully stripped down every week, piece by piece, by part, by piece, by part, thousands of pieces, thousands of parts, all torn down into buckets of bolts, bins, and parts that are sorted through, cleaned, and prepped to be built again. We're now standing in our metrology area. Here we measure the cars, part by piece by part, until we know exactly whether they're in spec or out of spec. If it's in spec, it can either go in service in our parts room or in our car prep for the next week. If it's out of spec, it goes in the trash can. We use state-of-the-art technology from Faro to make sure that we can measure each and every part to the smallest measurement possible. Now we're in our quality control department, where the metrology group works, harvests all the information, sorts it out. I'm standing next to our laser part marker, one of our key features. Every part is marked and tracked, so we know exactly when it's out of mileage and needs to be replaced. Now we're in one of my favorite areas, the carbon shop. Here you're seeing parts being laid up, layer by layer by layer, out of carbon fiber. Manually, he's going to go through every layer and get it fitting just perfect, until he gets to this stage right here, where it's bagged and then oven cured. This is a bezel about to be made for our radiator. And here you can see one of our cooler parts, a 3-to-2 converter for a hose, driver cooling. That's important to me. Here, we're in our paint shops, and we have 3 booths behind me. Now, although we can't paint our cars anymore with the NASCAR Next Gen, these are actually still very important for us. It helps us maintain all of our equipment, whether it be on pit road or in our shop. With running race cars 38 weeks a year, we go through a lot of parts. And one of the things that blows people away when they go on a tour of our race shop is the fact that we have our own auto parts store on site.
Hi, how may I help you?
David's on it. Behind me is assembly row. What you see is bay by bay by bay where the race cars get constructed. From the bodies being hung, to the engines being installed, the suspension being put on. When it's all said and done, we'll have a fully prepared race car. The final step in car preparation is our setup plates, and that's what you see right behind me here. Here the cars will be fully measured, weights, heights, and everything in between, to make sure they're ready to go to the racetrack. From here, it's off to the haulers and onto the racetrack. One of the coolest things to see that the race team uses is the haulers. Behind me is our 53-foot Featherlight trailer, stacker. We can put race cars in the top and all the equipment we'll ever need at the bottom, from parts to tools, food, supplies, you name it. Come check it out. Here you can see all the radios and communications equipment, all kinds of chemicals and gloves. Over here is our shock dyno, so we can measure the shocks while we're at the racetrack and make sure the springs are exactly where we want them to be. And when we get to the racetrack, all of that data that we accumulate goes into real-time feeds on all of these monitors and screens, monitored by some of the sharpest engineers in the world. And above the team, while we're working, race cars. 2 race cars for every team travel to each racetrack, all up here. In this room is our chassis dyno. Right below me here is a drum that we bolt the cars to and run them up to full speed to make sure everything in the drivetrain is working in peak condition. For our race team, going to 38 races a year means a lot of different paint schemes and a lot of vehicle wraps. And here is where we make all the wraps. You can see all the equipment to make some of the most beautiful paint schemes and wraps you've ever seen. From cutters to laminators and printers, all of it lives in this room and makes really, really cool wraps and numbers like out of this chrome. Every race team needs a party area, and for us, it's our disco tent. Nah, just kidding. It's not a disco tent, this is a Hawkeye. It light inspects the race cars the same way NASCAR will when we get to the racetrack. Pass or fail for us is predetermined before we ever head out the door. Our engineering group makes these race cars go fast. And in here are our engineering offices. And they all connect to our main engineering conference room, where we can meet with video conferencing and go over drawings and specifications of our race cars to the highest degree. RFK uses plastic 3D printing for prototyping some of our parts and for some of our low-value manufacturing. Our RFK Cafeteria area is actually really important. Not only does it help our people not become hangry, but also it keeps our food somewhere safe, clean, and away from our race cars. With 38 races a year and 100 plus employees working on these race cars every day, the parts and pieces are really hard to keep up with. Thankfully, we've used Fastenal in the past to help us organize with items like this, a vending machine with all the latest drill bits and tooling we could use on the race cars. We're looking forward to the next time to stop by to help us find even more efficiencies for our workforce. Now that you've seen the competition building, we're down here at our corporate center, where you'll see our pit crew, our marketing department, and one of our most fan-friendly pieces, our museum. All behind our picturesque water fountain. This is the RFK corporate building. So check this out, one of my favorite parts of the museum. First thing you see, Matt Kenseth's championship winning car, 2003, first championship for Roush, pretty cool. And then there's all kinds of other cool things back here, from the Fastenal win cars, Test Ford GT, of course one of Greg Biffle's historic wins, Ford, woo! This was a big one. One of Jack's personal cars, got the old Ford model. Oh, come on back here, all kinds of stuff. Our theater, this museum's open 5 days a week for our fans, and there's lots to see, lots to do. Daytona 500 winning car, Matt Kenseth, 2012. Still a little mad he beat me. And back here, one of our final showpieces, everybody likes a little bit of action, our crash stuff. We've got crashes from Todd Cleaver, crashes from Chris Buescher in Charlotte. Oh, and we even have a memento to Jack, crashed airplane pieces. This is our museum. One of the coolest parts of our facility is our Human Performance Center. Come check it out. In here, of course, you gotta start with locker rooms, bathrooms, men's and women's. Little break area, get some food, beverages, nutrition bar, PT, full service, 2 spots. See the whole team working. And it all ends over here in our state-of-the-art training area. Some would call it a gym, but these guys do a lot more than just work out. This is training to be one of the best pit crews on pit road. We did that last year, we want to do it again. All right guys, here we are. This is a really cool area at RFK in our pit practice area. Here you see one of our pit practice cars, Chris Buescher 17 Fastenal Ford, and behind it, all the gear it takes to make us go on pit road. Just like what you would see at a race. From the pit boxes, tires, wheels, gas cans, air hoses, this area is zooming when we have pit practice. Our guys will practice 3 to 5 days a week here to sharpen their skills and be their best. And sometimes they even let me drive the car. This is one of the coolest areas at RFK. And if you get here at the right day, at the right time, you might just get to watch. All right, now you're kind of getting into the secret sauce of what makes RFK go fast. This is our 8-post test area. Each one of those pads represents the wheels on the race car, and when this area is going, the race car is hopping. We use this to measure the loads on the tires and wheels to simulate how it will go around the racetrack. By doing that, we can optimize the race car setup and hopefully make it run. Behind this is the control room, because when the race cars bounce on here, you do not want to be standing where I'm at. Some of our smartest engineers at RFK Racing work right behind those walls. Really cool area. So that's it, guys. RFK Racing, fantastic shop, great team, building race-winning race cars. We got to get back to work. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. I'm out.